The affirmative. Senator Wong.
Thank you. I now move to the motion in relation to the conduct of Senator Babet, and I move the motion as circulated in my name.
Senator Birmingham.
Thank you, President. I know the Leader of the Government spoke when moving the procedural motion at the outset. President, whilst in the case of Senator Thorpe I made clear that the opposition's support for the censure was not because we denied her the right to say the things that she said, but because we were appalled at the way in which she said them and the time and place in which she sought to pursue those issues. In the case of this censure motion with Senator Babet, the words that he has placed on the public record are repugnant, are abhorrent, and have no place in proper, orderly, civil conduct and debate in 2024. People are free to be warriors.
Order! Order! Senator Thorpe, you are out of order. Senator Thorpe, come to order. Come to order. Senator Thorpe, I have called you to order. Senator Thorpe, I have called you to order. Senator Birmingham, please continue.
Thanks, President. As I was saying in relation to Senator Babet, the remarks are repugnant, abhorrent and have no place in the civil discourse of 2024. People are free to rail against political correctness or so-called wokeism, but the way to do that is not to offend your fellow Australians, to demean your fellow Australians, to engage in conduct that long ago was seen to be completely socially unacceptable and certainly should not be tolerated in supposed leaders of our country, elected senators of this parliament. We don't wish to see the Senate have to become the word police or the thought police for senators. We again look forward to discussions in Procedure Committee as to how we manage these issues, but there is a point and time where conduct and language is so appalling that the Senate needs to make its opinion clear. We made it clear in relation to conduct just before. We make it clear now in relation to conduct and language. When it comes to Senator Babet, I think what we saw in the midst of my remarks simply amplifies the point that Senator Wong made at the outset, that of course these instances of conduct are all too much about attention-seeking and trying to gain a relevance that otherwise is not supported by the electorate or by the vast and overwhelming majority of Australians. And though in a country like ours it is the job of our free press to report properly upon the proceedings of this parliament and the debates that occur, I would urge them to consider the weight they give to such minority outbursts and the elevation that they provide to minority outbursts and incendiary or inflammatory or insulting language used by individual members of parliament, and then in the weight they give, it only amplifies it in ways that those individuals do not deserve to have it amplified, and it only fosters the type of division that those of us who wish to focus on the good governance of this country would wish to avoid.
Thank you, Senator Birmingham. Senator Canavan.
Thank you, Madam Deputy President. I want to make clear that Madam President. I want to make clear that I would have voted for this censure motion. I had taken the opportunity to call Senator Babet this morning after I found out about this and let him know that, while I consider him a mate, I didn't at all support the statements he made. They were reprehensible, as the Leader of the Opposition said, and they're not the sort of conduct that senators in this place, senators in this country, should engage in. But again, I'll have to make the same point I made earlier, that Senator Babet, like Senator Thorpe, deserve to be here in this place to hear these arguments, to potentially defend himself. When I rose earlier in the earlier debates, I actually was still of a mind to vote for the censure motion of both Senators Thorpe and Senators Babet, but Madam President, with all respect, I couldn't in good conscience do that after the inept response from the Leader of the Government. She made no attempt to outline why this process has been brought on at this time, what's the urgency of it. My understanding is that those senators have been affected by flight delays this morning. My understanding is that they've, only been informed this morning that this was coming on. That's just a complete lack of process, perhaps in response to my points this time, that Senator Wong could outline exactly when Senators Thorpe and Babet were informed of the government's intention, how much time they gave them to mount a proper defence. This is a serious action. I mean, it's not a criminal court, of course, but it's a serious process that where basic rights of process should apply. And people being accused of something as grievous as what we are doing this morning, clearly in a free, fair and equal society, deserve the opportunity to mount a defence. They deserve adequate time to prepare that defence. They deserve a proper ability to hear all the points of view that are being put against them, the arguments that are being substantiated to take an action of this severity. But we've just, as I said earlier, we've just cheapened this whole process and made a mockery of the censure process. I hope this is not a precedent. I was one of the few who voted against George Christensen, a member for Dawson, Mr George Christensen, being censured a few years ago. That was. We won't look back on that kindly, I don't believe, as a chamber. He had the temerity at the time to say masks don't work. And I know we're all panicked at the time, and we succumbed to that panic, but it was an absolutely absurd thing. Notwithstanding whatever your views are on masks today, hardly any of them are wearing them anymore, but whatever your views are, to censure someone for that, it was absurd. And now we're doing this. Where's it going to end? Where's it going to end? We should keep the censure process as something being of grave, serious nature. And we won't do that if we'll repeat this tawdry exercise we've engaged in this morning.
Senator Rennick.
I rise to speak to this because I feel very strongly that these censures, while I support them, and the conduct is unbecoming, political point scoring. And I say that because I've tried to censure public servants in the past, in particular John Skerritt when he was head of the TGA for lying to me in estimates. It never got past the Community Affairs Committee, but he lied to me on a number of occasions throughout Senate estimates, and I couldn't get that off the ground, and that was a serious issue. I also called a press conference a couple of weeks ago when we were down here the last set of estimates because I wanted to talk about some very serious issues, one of which was that we've got a former politician that hasn't been named by the head of ASIO, Mike Burgess, who said that this particular politician sold Australia out. Now, for some particular reason, the two major parties don't want to discuss this at all, and I feel this is a very, very, very serious issue. We've also got other issues all the time that occur, and instead we come into this chamber every week and we start engaging in political point scoring. And don't get me wrong, this behaviour is unbecoming, but ultimately, as they say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. We have got genuine serious issues out here where hard-working Australians are being damaged by actions of their government that people don't want to discuss. So I would urge the chamber to actually stop political point scoring for a change and actually start dealing with issues. One in particular, and I mean this hasn't been yet brought to the Senate's attention because it only came up in estimates. Treasury, for example, hasn't mentioned that they haven't updated their tax agreement with Ireland since 1983. In 1983, Ireland had a tax rate of 40 cents in the dollar. It's now got 12.5 cents in the dollar. Billions of dollars are going offshore, and no one in this chamber cares about the cost of it to Australian people.
I should not have to keep calling you. When I call your name, I expect you to stop. You are ranging a long, long way from the issue at hand. It's about the censure motion towards Senator Babet. The other point I'd make is that if you use the term liar to a senator in this place, you would have to withdraw. Whilst I can't ask you to withdraw that language for a public servant, I would remind you of that. Please continue.
Yeah, Chair, Madam President, I'll just wrap it up and say, look, can we stick to the substance of the issue? And I didn't know that I called anyone in here a liar, but it wasn't the intention to call someone in here a liar.
Senator Rennick, it was in relation to a public servant. Minister Wong.
Finished? Thank you. I'll make 3 points. First, censure is about the protection of the institution. It's not about a legal fact-finding process about whether someone's done something or whether someone's evidence is incorrect. They're about us as an institution, as a collective, protecting the institution. That's the decision we're making here. The second point I would make is that it is normal practice for these issues to be dealt with at the first available opportunity. Not, I think, Senator Canavan, you did not demur when Senator Birmingham took such an approach in relation to the then Senator Rice. It was the next available opportunity. The third point I'd make is, and whilst I appreciate people have travel difficulties, the majority of the Senate is here and has ensured that we are here for the opening of the Parliament of the Senate. Ultimately, this is about the protection of the institution, and what we determine as a collective is acceptable. We all have different views. That is what this place deals with. But we also have to make a decision about expressing a view about what behaviours are appropriate in the expression of those views. And also, in relation to Senator Babet, whether in 2024 the sorts of views that he has articulated, which are frankly hateful about our fellow Australians, are something that we should be condoning as a Senate. I, for one, do not, and I commend the motion.
So the question is that the censure motion regarding Senator Babet be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Against? I believe the ayes have it. The ayes have it.